Why is it difficult to find insurance when you've had a lapse in coverage? There's a few things that are happening, and insurance is really predicated on the risk. And when you haven't had insurance, that risk is skyrocketed to them. It's kind of a fear, in all honesty, is they're afraid that your policy is unknown. Why did they have a lapse? And a lot of the times I've seen customers where it's not necessarily even their fault. Fraud happened, or someone stole their credit card or their debit card that they had on file, and they didn't think of it. Like when you pay 10 bills and you have this all being shuffled, you can't always remember what is what and where it is. There are other times where it's the opposite, where it is a high risk because someone says, forget it, I just won't pay it, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna skip it and move on to the next person. And they're willing to take that risk, illegally drive without insurance and become an uninsured motorist driver. Now that happens, it actually happens more often right now than it ever has because of the cost of insurance. So that risk factor has played a big factor. Now, why isn't there leniency? There is. A lot of people don't understand that is the insurance companies don't want you to cancel. They want that policy because that's where they make their money. And they want that policy to continue forever and ever. We understand that things change, and like I said, the bills could be mixed up or whatever the case is, but it's still the person's responsibility to make the payment. The only difference is insurance doesn't call you like your house would if you missed your mortgage payment. They're on day 2, sending an email, writing a letter. They've already mailed you something, and you're 2 days late, and they're like, phone call, pay your bill. I've had that happen. I missed it once, and it was like, I thought I was a criminal. And insurance doesn't work that way. They still send you a letter, they'll send you an email, but it's a lot slower of a process because they typically give you a leeway. Most companies will give you about a 3-week leeway between when the policy is set to cancel and when it actually cancels. Now we're talking about non-pay. The non-pay part is broken up into a couple different ways, and these are different risks, essentially, you could say. So the person that is a week late or is a couple days late, they pay it, nothing happens. They usually 9 out of 10 times just wipe it off, pretend it never happened. You may get a $3 or $5 late fee, and it's just part of the program, right? They're charged a fee for their bank to process it, and they just pass the bill on to you. But if you wait that 3 weeks and you don't pay it, you've had official lapse, or let's just say you waited a week and a half and they have their triggering moment, we'll say. They usually have a set date. But that company gives you a non-pay, they'll reinstate the policy but give you a lapse. So you'll never have missed the coverage, you actually won't have it, but you'll have a 1-day lapse in between, which on your renewal could cost you to lose some of the discounts that you had previously. So why is it so difficult to find insurance? When you've had a lapse, you're an unknown. It's as if you were going to rent out your house. Instead of it going through an Airbnb app or a VRBO app, and they go in, they give you their credit card, they pay, right? That person shows up to your house. All of a sudden someone knocks on your door and says, I want to stay here for 3 nights. I don't know if I'd let them in. And they're wearing whatever they're wearing. Who knows? They could be clean cut or not. But at the end of the day, you just don't know who or where or what. Are they going to party in my house? Are they going to rip it all apart? Are they coming in? Are they going to make a fake claim? That's a big concern. And the reason it's a big concern is these are previous things that have happened. Insurance takes history and notes, and they learn from that history, and they price their products based on the history. The biggest challenge they have is when a policy cancels, people get in accidents, then they quickly try to scramble, get the insurance, try to file a claim, pretend it never happened, and the insurance is the loser in the end of that whole battle. It's happened as many or too many times to where they're a little bit afraid to have somebody new join when you haven't had insurance. Now there is a way around that, because if the scenario is you haven't had a car, that's different. There are different reasons for not having insurance. Keep in mind, I know you can say you haven't had a car, but they will pull the VIN off of your previous policy and say, wait, that's not true. With that being said, if you hadn't had a car, there's something called a no prior, no need. If you didn't have a need for insurance, they're not going to rank that as heavy. It's not going to be as difficult to get in the door, and you're going to get a little bit better pricing in some scenarios. Obviously, the best thing to do is get reinsured. Once you've gone at least 6 months, you're back to normal. They treat you as if you never left and as if you went in and did your VRBO through the app and whatnot, because now you've built some trust, you've built some history, you've got a little bit of longevity with a company. Honestly, if you can stay with a company for 3 or even 5 years, that's usually the sweet spot to where other insurance companies really want your business. They'll discount and fight for it and do everything they can because they want that longevity in their company. Never fret if that has happened. It's one of those unfortunate things. If you live in a house with a family member, see if they're willing to put you on their policy, if they're willing to take the risk. Make sure the insurance company is okay with that, because not all of them allow that. If you have a loan, 9 times out of 10, you have to have your own policy. That's just part of the loan, not the insurance. So there's different rules and guidelines that you have to follow. If you have questions, put them in the comments below. I'm Mark with Valor Insurance. We'll see you soon.